Dinner's ready. Well, this will be the last time you hear the straight pipe on it. That's a lot sweeter of a sound. It's kind of nice not to have to hear that all the time. Well, so my partial box of goodies came in. Let's get into that carburetor because this thing runs like crap. Boy, that'll get you up in the morning. 100 degrees. Well, so something doesn't exactly match there now, does it? I definitely don't recommend doing this, but I think I'm going to cut out this center portion here because my float bowls can't do what they're supposed to do if that gasket is in the way. So I'm going to cut out around the silhouette of the old one with an X-Acto knife and remove that material that does not need to be there. Well, I wouldn't say I didn't do too bad of a job. That's the piece that was blocking Mr. Float Bowl there, as you can see. Obviously, it's the wrong gasket, but this is pretty much the only kit you can get for the Zeniths that are on the Super 77s and 88s. So I'm just going to have to make it work. So admittedly, I think I'm fixing other people's mistakes. For one, you saw that gasket fix. So far, it's working now. Cross my damn fingers because I really don't want to take it apart again. Two, somebody put the float bowl in backwards, and even the diagram shows you how to rebuild this is incorrect. It's an upside down. The float bowl's in the right way, and obviously it's not leaking, so it's either not going to get any gas at all or it's working right. One of the two. Well, here we are. It's the next day where I can actually visibly see how the carb is reacting, and let's go take it for a test drive and see how she likes it. Well, she's liking it so far. It used to buck and get real mad whenever it would get up to full throttle here. You couldn't really put it under a load before it would start running out of fuel. And it's not doing that. It's doing actually pretty good now. And does a full pull well. No black smoke or nothing. You gotta change that steering wheel, which I ordered a brand new steering wheel from Corvus. Sitting right here, ready to go. Looks all nice and pretty. Just gotta get a puller and put it on the damn thing and yank it off. The only problem is it's been on there since the birth of this tractor. I don't know if it's gonna come off even with a puller. So, well, one steering wheel is off. That took a little bit of pain and misery to get to. Not literally, it was actually quite easy, but it's very nice. I don't mind a redneck painting coming on over here. I'm just painting the center cap because it was pretty damn rusty, and honestly it stands out like a sore thumb compared to the steering wheel, so she's getting a coat of black. Seems as if for the second time I have found yet another improperly put together function of a tractor. And in this case it's a governor, because when I pulled this guy off, this ball bearing's supposed to sit up against the cone. Well, this ball bearing cage was inside these spring weights here. This cone was pressed up against this arm on the outside of the spring weights. So it wasn't even technically put together right, or it failed and somehow that came out from the springs and the bearings just completely disintegrated, because when I pulled this bearing cage out, there were two of them missing already. Now the tricky part is going to be trying to find that center bearing, or I guess that piece there, because if I can't find that, this thing has no governor. So for the moment, it's just back together the way it came. I put it back together the way the book said, still no difference. So yeah, it needs a thrust washer and or bearing. Well, I put fluid in the hydraulic pump. I think the pump's almost dead from wear over time, but hydraulic lever freed up on me. So I got one side that kind of works. Now I gotta go find another lever for the other side and get him to free up, and we should be good to go. It's got fluid in it, it's not running dry. That's the important part. Oh, this thing just keeps punching me in the mouth every time I turn. I would put in the new spool. Corvus Oliver actually had a spool brand new, ready to go. Didn't even know they existed until I called him up and said, hey Mark, you got a fix for this? Because I don't know anybody that does. Voila, had a new one. It's in there already. I still am having the exact same problem. Well guys, we've made progress. I did a little off-camera working. I bought another trawler rod right here. Goes to the carp. It broke on me on the other one, so I had to order a new one. This is apparently, and thank you Chris Losey, I know he doesn't watch my videos, but he is the man for this Oliver stuff if you got a question. I came over here and he had me pull this rod and left this throttle rod for the throttle control up there in. Pulled this top rod out, held the throttle down all the way at the top to the bottom notch on the quadrant, basically pulled the governor all the way back, and then held the throttle butterfly all the way open with the linkage. And I found this linkage was too long. It was about, it's supposed to be a 1/16 of an inch forward of this hole where it resides, with this arm back and the butterfly wide open. But it was probably about an inch and a half far too forward. So the entire problem was an adjustment, as I honestly initially thought it was. But I cracked that open and found a different story as well. So that had to be fixed regardless. And it starts and runs quite a lot better. But it surges, so I got to fix that governor issue. I think that's just an adjustment in the book. It works as it should though. It's just about halfway too far down the quadrant, so the other throttle linkage needs to be adjusted now to take all that back out of it. All right, one nose cone back off yet again. It's about twice as easy the second time when everything's been done once. And we're gonna go ahead and put on the sheet metal. Well, curiosity killed the cat once more. It's been freshly greased. This isn't even supposed to have an ounce of grease in it. This is supposed to have 10W30, which makes complete sense. And that also makes sense as to why there's a fill plug in the back, or it's check plug more specifically. But this should be filled with 1030 oil instead of grease. All right, so I probably put about half a quart to a quart in there. Basically the top of the check plug, covered the top of the sector gear and pinion gear. I mean, other than the steering shaft being partially seized for some reason unknown to me, I mean, I can turn it by hand with my left hand. It's a lot easier than it was before. All right, last time you guys left me off, we had this entire nose cone off, pretty much all the sheet metal, which obviously I'm not really doing that good of a job, I'll admit to it. Just things like the hinges didn't get painted and whatnot, but I had Napa mix me some metal green paint. It's really good looking paint, honestly. I've really thought about pulling this grill off and going and painting it, but I don't know. Really, the less painted pieces that the tractor has on it, the better it matches. So as much as I hate to say it, the only reason I painted them is because the centerpiece came completely unpainted, no primer or anything. And that top one came with gray primer and that was it. So it's either blended in with the tractor as best as I can or don't and let it rust. So oh, whole tractor sucks sometimes. I just put everything back on, started it up, and what do you know, she's gushing out the core right at the radiator. All right, she's draining. As you can see, it's pouring out right there. It's got a leak up in there in the core, so that's got to go to our local radiator shop and get rebuilt, even though it was perfectly fine before, but I guess throwing a thermostat in there heated it up and maybe slightly pressurized it and popped it. I don't know. All I know is it's broken. It's got to get fixed. Well, she's out. If you take a peek right up in here, right there, she is leaking. So radiator shop's gonna have to take care of that.